Good evening. Thanks for joining us on our weekly AJA Zoom event. My name is Robert Gregory, and also on the screen is Dr. David Adler, the president of the AJA, as well as our guest for tonight, all the way from London, Noor Dahri. And a special thank you to Elaine Black for sponsoring tonight's session. We greatly appreciate your support. If you want to sponsor an episode of AJA, please be in contact. The format will be a short interview and then the chance to ask questions. If you'd like to ask a question, as usual, the best way is to raise your hand with the reaction button. Written questions can also be placed in the chat function, and if we have a chance, we may get to some. Noor Dahri was born in Pakistan. His life has been an incredible journey from jihadist, who held anti-Semitic views, to a Muslim Zionist and advocate for Israel. Noor has authored several books and is executive director of the London-based Islamic Theology of Counter Terrorism, ITCT, a Counter Islamist Terrorism think tank. Noor has been targeted by Islamic extremists for speaking out. Noor will share his personal journey and address Islamist antisemitism, which is a significant concern we deal with. Noor, thanks for joining the AJA tonight.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Great honor.
Thank you. Can you start by telling us a bit about your upbringing in Pakistan?
Yes, well, I'm born and bred in Pakistan. And when I grew up in Pakistan, it was like teenage, like 17, 18, 19. There was, it was in like 80s, 90s. So it was a big wave of jihadization across the country. So people are recruiting and providing, indoctrinating the people from school and colleges to join the jihad against India in Kashmir. So this is how I brought up in a not very religious family, honestly. My family was like very moderate. My father was a landlord as well as a police officer. So and he was against this mullahcracy. So it's not like that I was born in an atmosphere of the religious atmosphere. It was not the case. But sometime, mostly when you are in colleges or universities, right, and atmosphere in university colleges is really affect you when your surrounding people are talking about jihad and the benefits of jihad, in the world and hereafter. And plus, when you have some personal grievances, then if these things really will impact on your mind, it will affect your ideology. So I become from the secular moderate, I become a very religious person. And when I was in college and university time, very religious person, 5-time pray, beard, and going to the sermons, jihadist sermons in different places in cities. So it takes really more than 1 year, 1 or 2 years to completely exhaust the things, completely adopt the Islamist ideology. And that was a time when they realized that the person is really he has been completely induced by this ideology, cannot run away from that. Because the young age, teenage, his mind is completely empty, and whatever you feed it for years, and it will come up. It will give the bad result in the society. So that's why they recruited me, indoctrinate me, work on me for years and years through the educational way, and they finally entered. Let me join jihadist organization, and then I went to Afghanistan for the further jihadi training. So it was very, very short journey.
And what was your exposure to Jews and to Israel growing up? What did you hear about them?
Well, remember one thing is, Robert, you cannot achieve the jihad goal without possess hate against the Jewish. Anywhere, you go anywhere from east to west, right? Any terrorist organization that definitely possess some type of Jewish hate, because in that time in 90s, our was counter Indian, counter Hindus, okay, in Kashmir, to liberate Kashmiri people from the Indian occupation. But we have learned how Israelis have occupied Palestine, how Israeli Jewish consider about Islam, what Zionism is, and because our goal was at that time not specifically Palestine, because we can't go to Israel and conduct any jihadist activities in Israel. Obviously, we can't go. So what they did, because they already indoctrinate us about Zionism, about Jewish hate. So they divert our anti-Zionism, anti-Semitic ideology towards the Hindus that they call the Hindu Zionists. So there's a new word they created for us, Hindu Zionists. So there's a Jewish Zionist, they are Hindu Zionists in Kashmir. So our direction should not be district. The viewpoint towards the Jews and Hindus should not be district. We cannot divide. So when you say, oh, they are Hindu Zionists, means they are Zionists, right? So they need to be killed. They need to be eliminated completely on the face of the earth. And this is why they think we create a peaceful atmosphere by eliminating Zionists. But because we cannot co-liberate Palestine from Pakistan, so our target was to liberate first Kashmiris from the Hindu Zionists. Then from there, we will move to Israel and liberate Palestinians from Jewish Israeli Zionist occupation. And this is how they indoctrinate us. This was a first. This is the first stage or first phase of radicalized youngsters in Pakistan to induce the hate against Zion. When they are very clever, They never use the word Jewish. Do you understand? They use the word Zionists. But actually their targets is Jews anywhere under the umbrella of Zionism, which you are, because when I didn't know that before, but when I came to UK and study about Jewish Zionism, this and that, then I understand, well, they just changed a front headline from anti-Semitism into the anti-Zionism. From Jewish, replaced word is a Zionist. But behind their target was always Jewish, is Jewish, and will remain as a Jewish target.
So, with such a strong indoctrination against Jews in Israel, what led you to change your views on Israel?
Well, I joined the London Police Service, and when I was as a uniform officer in London Police, I still possess same anti-Zionist ideology, which is common. Most of the Muslims here, doesn't matter, they have a beard, they don't have a beard, they are religious, they are secular, they are wearing suit or they're wearing jalbab, Arabic dress, doesn't matter. The ideology is still against Israel and against the Jewish people, okay, in the name of Zionists. So I was a uniform officer, but I was anti-Israel, anti-Zionist. Okay, when the people say you hate Jews, no, I don't hate Jews. I love Jews, but I hate Zionists. Okay, now I didn't have a difference because I always think, okay, any person who is a Zionist, who like Israel, love Israel, live in Israel, or think good about Israel, he's a Zionist. Okay, so there's definitely distance from me and him completely. Okay, there was underground in Piccadilly Circus in London. And there was, we were walking always we walk because this was our beat station. By the way, I was in an underground police station, police service, not overground, not Metropolitan Police, but British Transport Police, which operate in railways and underground, London Underground. So my posting was London Underground. And there was a Piccadilly Circus, there was a door supervisors, means on the gate, people enter, show the ticket, or enter, open the gates. On the corner, there are a customer service assistant work for the London Underground. There was one Jewish lady. Her name was Ili Baran. I didn't know that she is a Jewish. So we always talk hours and hours together because we are in same environment. So she was just talking about, I mean, how do you like, how did this and that, how you like, and a Jewish, this and that. I said, yeah, Jewish, lovely people. That she never even described she's a Jewish. Okay. Born white, blue eyes, blonde hair, name is Ili, does not, I never even catch there's Ili name is like a Jewish name. Okay. And English. So I thought she's English, same like English people. But she was talking about labor Israel. I said, no, I hate Israel. Don't like Israel. No, don't talk about Israel. She said, why? What happened? It's the same country. Have you been in Israel? No. Are you Muslim? Yeah, of course. Do you believe in other prophets? Of course, I believe it. So they were born where? Or they were born in Palestine. He said, okay. Is it written in Palestine in the Quran? I said, no, but Jerusalem, Palestine. I said, no, Jerusalem is not Palestine. That time, Palestine, there was no exist Palestine. There was a land called Bani Israel, Israel, Jerusalem, Israel. So I say, okay. He said, no problem. You can research. Because the good thing is in me, a good thing was always, I love reading. I always loved it. When I left Pakistan, I really donated more than 300 books from my house. I was but the books more was like a religious type of books, something like that. But the good thing in my view is I was always truth seeker, always research. Anything I could see the topic, I go very deep, all the way centuries back and started studying. And that really helped me in this subject. When she said, go and do some research. Okay. So when I did research, I didn't find anything different because most of the media, and whether it's a Muslim media or Western media, full of anti-Israel. Nothing was a difference. So I said, well, this is all I'm seeing. So she said, because you are seeing only one angle, you need to see the another angle as well. I said, there's an angle. How can it be Western media? This is a big, let me tell you one thing, Robert, this is a one big thing Muslim community, Muslim people all around the world, they consider Western media mean 100% correct. Whatever they show, whatever they you read is 100% correct, because they think our media maybe is corrupt, but their media is US media, UK media, they're very honest. Whatever they present is 100% correct, but actually it's not. Okay, which you, of course, you know it, or I knew it after a long time. So she said, okay, read the angle as well from these websites, these newspapers. I said, okay. I said, but there's this kind of Israeli type of newspaper. She said, you are a reader? I said, yes. You love reading? Yes. Then read other angle as well. Then you decide. He said, I'm not forcing you like or don't like it, but just have knowledge. Maybe you can, next time you come talk to me, you have a better understanding to cross argument or something like this. Okay. So this is how I start reading. Then I said, Israel looks okay. I like Jewish there, but no Zionists. No Zionists. They are monsters. They are very cruel. They say, she said, who they are? I said, you don't know? She said, no, I don't know. I don't know what they are. I said, oh, they are human killers. They are monsters. They are evil worshippers. They don't believe in Judaism. He said, really? I said, yeah, 100%. He said, okay. So the thing is this, just bottom line is that I was reading. And the one month, it takes months because it's a long journey. It's not easy. You can change my mind, which I possessed hate against you for decades. You can't change in years. You can't. Unless I want to change myself. Otherwise, you can't. So it's totally on me how I can see the both angles, how can I weigh the angles, how can I balance, and then I can find it out what truth is actually. Because Let me tell you one thing. Before I accept another phase, another angle, I was in UK. I was writing articles in different blogs, different Islamic websites. So I become a very famous in different websites in Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, in UK, local forums. Okay, that time was no social media actually, no very strong actually. I didn't have any much account, maybe Facebook account, that's enough. So people know me about how strong religious I am. Okay, how strong. And by the way, my religious ideology is Salafi. You must have heard of it, Salafi, isn't it? So I'm not a Shia, I'm not a Sufi or Brelvi or Deoband, I'm a Salafi. Okay, this is why when the Jihadist organization I joined, the Jihadist organization was Salafist Jihadist organization. I'm still proud Salafi, okay, but it's a different Salafi because there are three ideology of Salafis. Okay, so what I was saying, yes, when I was very famous as a Salafist religious person, writing stuff like that. It was very hard for me to openly accept the different truth. Very hard. It's not easy. It's not easy, Jan. Everyone cannot take the risk, because that was not the risk of only the accepting truth, that risk of you are eliminating yourself actually from the top surface to all the way bottom, from every angle. So I will come that point a little bit later. So when I realize is truth, then I say, okay, I think Israeli people are good and bad. So I came into the balance. Okay, there are good people, there are bad people. But I said, I like those Israelis who support Palestinians. Do you know how little bit challenge? So she said, okay, so which newspaper you prefer? I say, I prefer Hartis. So I keep reading only Hartis. You know how Hartis?
Haaretz, yeah.
Hartis, okay.
Yeah.
So I was very loved this newspaper. I say, yes, that's the one, because they show always balance. They are pro-Palestinians, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian, something like that. So I say, yeah, that newspaper is brilliant. So the Ili said, okay, keep reading, no problem, because she said at least he correct from that level to this level, actually. So he entered into the Israel domain, finally. So start liking something. Simple. They don't have a life. They don't have a right to live. Slowly, education. Then she said, okay, join some groups. Then I start grouping, writing, arguments, discussion. Okay. Then I came to the point, I said, okay, heart is okay, but Times of Israel is good. Ego now is more balanced. Okay, so slowly, then I'm moving. Times of Israel is good. So when I read a couple of books, she said, okay, your readers, so buy some books. Bought some books. And at the one point, I realized when I read, when I studied, joined other on Facebook, other Jewish people I joined, some groups, listening what they are talking about, reading, and Palestinian groups as well, reading there. So I realized, okay, one group always wanted destruction of one community. And the Jewish group, they don't want destruction. They always talk about peace with people to survive. So one group always want to die, kill and die. So they love death. Other group that want to live, want to survive, peace. So I was balancing which one is good, because I think peace is good. People need to live. By the way, when I came to UK, I already left the organization because I realized that the organization Jihad organization is nothing but a destructive organization. I had a big argument with their leaders. I had a very great conflict with the Jihad organization because I said, no, this is not right. You can't do that. I can support you, but for not that level. This is against humanity. This is not good. So I start arguments. So finally, I left the organization. When I left the organization, then when I left the organization, because this was the organization, this was the Islam which I learned through the angle of the other organization. So I thought this is the only Islam. But when the idol collapsed from my mind, I thought this is actually the Islam. So what I did, when I came to UK, I left Islam. I'm a Muslim, but I was very secular, very moderate. Shaved my beard, clubbing, dancing, okay, chilling my life. Then finally, I read books, this and then I found, no, Islam is not what they would pretend Jihad organization. Islam is a little bit different. So I become because religion was always inside me a little bit. So then I got married and become a little bit religious. But I was anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, but not exactly like how I was before the Jihadists. I want to eliminate them. But this time I was not eliminated. I said, no, they are Zionist. I'm anti-Zionist. I'm anti-Israel. But it's none of my business. I'm fully support Palestine. I even attended Al-Quds days in London. Yeah, with Palestinian flags, march, death to Zionist, death to Israeli, death to Zionist. Okay, Al-Quds, I think 2-3 years Al-Quds days on Friday happened in London. So always I had to attend it. Yes, I was very pro-Palestinian. So back to join that. When I realized that, no, I need to support the truth, not hidden, not in hiding, but I have to be vocal. Because when I was a jihadist, I was vocal. When I was a pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel, I was vocal. I was open. So when I now become a supporter of Israel, why should I hide my truth? I knew it. The consequences will be very hard. I know I will be completely isolated from my family, back, my father, my brother, my sisters, from my relatives. I will be completely alone from my community in UK, my friends, my circle, my Islamic circle, which they were considered always me a very religious Islamist, a Muslim, very religious and very good Salafi person. I know I will be. Consequences, but actually the consequences went beyond my expectation. Actually, very hard. I was not thinking that I will be completely squeezed, completely by everyone in my life. Yes, kind of life was destroyed completely. So, so it was when and there happened war. The Operation Protective Age 2014 that started between the IDF and Hamas in Gaza. That was the time I decided to support IDF. Then I openly on social media supported Operation Protective Age against Hamas terrorists. And that was a time my destruction actually for them is a destruction, but I can say it's a life-changing phase started. Because that doesn't, for me, it's not a destruction. I was possessed a destructive ideology before. But when I started supporting Israel and Israelis, that was a completely, I can say, transforming of my life. Life-changing circle from the one life to the another life.
So you came to study counterterrorism in Herzliya. Was that your first trip to Israel?
Well, no. That was Herzliya when I studied Herzliya. That's for online, actually. Online. And I didn't come to the study in Herzliya because, as I said, I was in police. So I wanted to do counterterrorism studies, not high level because I'm married, children, I can't leave to do a graduation or master. So I say sometime to know, educate about something about counterterrorism. So there was a few organizations, there were educational institutions, there was offering counterterrorism study from UK, the US as well, and in Pop and Herzliya, Israel as well. So when I skimmed through in the UK and American counterterrorism organizations, I found they are still teaching 9/11, 7/7, Bali bombing, and about Mumbai attacks, okay, 2008. But when I come across with Israeli organizations like ICT, and when I say, oh my goodness, that's the terrorism they teach later, because their terrorism never stops, unfortunately, okay? In UK, in America, or anywhere, they at some point they stops. So they're teaching old counterterrorism strategies and Islamist narratives. But actually, ICT was teaching a very current why, because every week, every month, terrorism happens in Israel. A new strategy, new techniques terrorists bring in Israel against Israeli civilians and the security personnel. So I decided, why not I study in the institute where they can combat and assess the terrorist tactics in the current format. So that I study. Once I study and finish my study, then obviously I broaden my mind more widely, and I say, oh yes, that's a difference. That's really a big difference, and it really changed my narrative about a difference between terrorists and the difference between insurgents, freedom fighters. So it's big difference. Before I didn't know the difference, but then the education really helped me.
Turning to Israel, so you recently visited. What are some observations you can make? Would you consider it an apartheid country, as some people call it? And in particular, I believe you made some specific comments about the Temple Mount. Is there any thoughts you want to share about what goes on there, your experiences?
The words apartheid, I don't think so they're fit for Israel. People, the Muslim community, my community, need to study what apartheid actually is. It started from where it ends, okay? They blindly use the word incorrectly and accurately to the Israel, where I can see every faith people possess, every faith live in the freedom and peace in Israel, exercise their human rights without any hate, any prejudice, any racism. When I went there, I've seen Baha'is, I saw Sunni, Shia. So I have seen Arabs, different political and religious ideologies, because they live in Israel, outside Israel. I mean, I'm talking about West Bank area, AB. I've seen a different type of Jewish groups as well, and Ahmadis, Baha'is, all faiths, Christians, Muslims, every color of the people, every race of the people, every religion of people, they live in Israel. And with proud, never seen any, I never met any person who can say that we are facing an apartheid. Yes, I always say, when I discuss with anti-Israel people, and okay, always they say, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, always pick and choose and negative things. I say, of course, in Israel, humans living there, not angels. Okay. And wherever the human lives, they have a positive and they have a negative as well. They have a pros and cons. They have advantage and disadvantage, like any other country. So I always say, if you don't consider Israel as a paradise run by angels and one God is, in Israel. No, consider Israel as a normal country, as a Western country, or as a Middle Eastern country. They people are Middle Eastern, actually, people. Israel is in the Middle East, okay? If you want to compare Israel, you have to compare Israel with the Middle Eastern democracies, Middle Eastern countries. If you are Pakistani, you compare to Israel to Pakistan, compare it. Look at the freedom of movement. Look at the freedom of expression. Okay, in Pakistan, we don't have a freedom. We have army rules. If we talk anything about which is the thing the army thinks that beyond our is completely different than our narrative, you are in a jail. You are abducted. No one know your whereabouts. You will be completely abducted. Okay, media runs by the ISI. Okay, every institute run by ISI. Financial institute run by ISI. Governments run by ISI. Religious institutions run by ISI. Jihadist institutions in Pakistan, jihadist factories run by ISI. You cannot compare Pakistan to Israel. No way. Compared to Middle Eastern democracy. Middle East doesn't have a democracy. They have a kingdom. They have emirates. Type of style. It's a democracy. Palestine, if Palestinians, I say people living in Israel, and any day comes in Ramadan, even the some Arabs, okay, living in Israel, being a citizen of Israel, and waving Hamas flags, Palestinian flags. And guess what? They didn't get any bullet. They don't get any bullet from the IDF. Is it not a democracy? You go in Iran and wave the Saudi flag. You go in a Saudi and wave Iranian flag, you will see. You go in Pakistan, wave Indian flag, you will see that. This is a great example of democracy. This is a great example of equal opportunities. Is it not apartheid? When they talk about apartheid, I can visit, being a Muslim, I can visit Temple Mount, Al-Aqsa Mosque, I can visit Kotel, Jewish Kotel. No one stops me.
What was your experience at the Temple Mount like?
It's beautiful. It's great. It's great. I don't see any.
There were some problems from the Palestinians, the extremists.
No, I didn't face any problem. Yes, I got some Palestinian threats on social media that they were pointing everyone, this person, keep an eye on this person. If we enter Al-Aqsa Mosque, keep an eye, kick him out. Okay, beat him up. When I was in Israel, when I record a video and show the people, see the difference. You call it apartheid, see the difference. I'm in Al-Aqsa, I'm praying here with freedom, no problem. I went in a hotel, not even a single Jewish person stopped me. Who the hell are you? What the hell you are doing in my area? No one. IDF, they search why you are coming here. Just see the Jewish hotel. You say, okay, that's fine, no problem. No one stops me. I went so many times in Jewish hotel. No one stopped me. I went to Al-Aqsa Mosque. No one stopped me. When the people are saying, oh, Israeli army are stopping people to go and pray in Al-Aqsa Mosque. No, come on. They don't stop anyone. They don't stop the people to go to even to Jewish hotel. How can they stop the people, Muslim, to go to their own place in the Temple Mount? I haven't seen any apartheid. Apartheid, what apartheid is, Jews cannot enter into the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, it's apartheid. I can always say the Muslim to an argument. I say, look, entering into Temple Mount or bar Jews, okay, ban Jews to enter into Temple Mount is a political decision. Okay, it cannot be endorsed by a religion, specifically Islam. They say, how is our Kaaba, is our Qibla, is a third holiest site? I said, third. Thank you very much. You never said first. Is a third. But Jews is the first. How can you deny the right of the first house of direction of the Kaaba, and you proud of the as a third holiest, is a third? Okay. And in Hadith, Prophet Muhammad said, if you want to visit 3 places for the reward. Okay, visit 3 places. 1, house of God in Makkah. 2nd, house of his mosque in Medina. And 3rd, Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa. Okay. He said, visit He didn't say control or occupy. Who occupied Al-Aqsa? We Muslims occupied Al-Aqsa. There is not a single Islamic text which promote occupying Al-Aqsa. Not number one. Number second thing, there is not a single text in Islam which, whether you can text means I combine everything. Fiqh, Judaism, Hadith, Quran, nothing says that you ban Jewish to enter Al-Aqsa. No, because Aqsa is mosque. If Jewish people or Christian people, okay, let's compare, okay, let's specify the Jewish people. If the Jewish people can visit or enter any mosque in United Kingdom and no any imam stops them, but welcome them very happily and embrace them, come and visit, no problem, you are our Jewish brother. How can law Islamically suddenly changed when Jewish want to visit Al-Aqsa Mosque? Number three, if a Jewish person have a Torah, Old Testament in his hand, and he went into the mosque anywhere in the world, he sit in there and start reading Torah. Is it prohibited in Islam? If yes, I need a proof from any single scholar from Islam that Jewish person cannot pray the Old Testament Torah in mosque. If he can enter, he can pray, he can and there are many events happen in the US and the UK where both faiths, Muslims and Jewish, pray together in one place, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So which means the Jewish can pray in mosque along with Muslims. If that is acceptable, if this is allowed anywhere in the world, in any mosque, and the Muslim cannot show any restriction or hostile or something like that, because they believe, because this is not, the prohibition is not in Islam. How come suddenly this prohibition is the prohibition, they prohibited the Jews to even utter a single word of God in the compound of Al-Aqsa? This is a great example of apartheid, because this rule is not a divine rule. I've seen a Jewish, my friend, ages ago, long years ago, he entered into Medina Mosque in Medina in Saudi Arabia, okay, and he showed his everything that he's a Jewish, he's an Israeli, he's in Medina. Everyone prays, wow, well done, good. So if he can go Medina Mosque, inside Mosque of the Prophet, why he can't go to Al-Aqsa?
That's a very good question.
And what he, number second thing, if you're the Jewish religious person or non-religious, if he's going to Al-Aqsa and he's using a word praying to who? The same God we pray, not any pagan God. Same God. What he is using the word Torah, which we said in Islam, Amantu billahi wa malaikati wa kutubihi. But we believe, if we don't believe in the divine books, not only one book, books which revealed by the Gabriel, by the God, to the Moses, to the Jesus and other scriptures, other prophets. If we don't believe, Amantu billahi wa kutubihi, if we don't believe, we are not Muslim. If someone said, okay, I don't believe in Torah, I believe only Quran, he's not a Muslim. He's not a Muslim, he's out. He's gone. That's a Quranic rule. But if he said that I believe in Quran and I believe in Torah, then he become Muslim. So how comes you believe in Torah? Okay, but you don't want any person read Torah in the compound of Temple Mount, which is a first holy place to the people,
Yeah, look,
to us.
it's a very crazy rule. Doesn't make much sense, and hopefully
I
we'll
don't
see
accept
some.
this rule.
Yeah.
I don't accept this rule. If I go next time to Israel, if I bring a Torah and I'll go into Temple Al-Aqsa Mosque and I will read the Torah and I will see who is going to stop me. I say, okay, bring me any revelation from the divine revelation from the Quran Hadith that said I cannot read the Torah in the Temple Mount.
We've just got a lot of questions. Hopefully, we'll be able to get to as many of them as we can. But just before we go to questions, I might ask you, Noor, tell us a little bit about your institute, what you do, the books you've written. I understand some of them in Urdu, and what impact that's having on the Muslim population. And after we hear about what you're currently doing,
yes, Robert. I have written and edited around nearly 6 books. I'm working on the 2 more books. Okay. I written the books about my journey in Zionism. Okay, which I really proud of it, because this is a journey of freedom, not occupation, not hostile, not dark. It's a journey of freedom. Freedom of everything. I can't take time. I don't have time to explain. So the book is a very good book. I have written everything in there, how counter some narratives of Islamists as well. Okay, these are all combined, my all articles, everything I've written so far is in one book. Okay, then I've written a book. First, my book was written about jihadization, Islamization. Okay, that's available as well. Then I edited 2 books, and which I counter 3 nexus of devils. Okay, one is Hamas, Hezbollah, and Ikhwan al-Muslimin. And that's a very good book, very good information there. Then I countered a Turkey regime. Okay, there Erdogan, when he went against Israel, and then I edited the book as well. And then I work on another book called Counter Terrorism, and covered all the terrorist incident, and we edited with my old team, okay, my organization team, experts. So we combine research papers and we book. Now I'm writing a book about ISI crimes, Pakistan military's crime against humanity, violation, human rights violations, abuses, their support of jihadization, their support of terrorists all across the world, okay, and expose their dirty agenda to the world. And another book which I'm working nearly ready, but I'm still paused. Let me first introduce a Pakistan military's book, then I will write on that. That's our counter narratives or Islamist narratives. Okay, what type of narrative they use from Islamic theology, from Islamist narratives, from their own books, ideologies. I counter their narrative. Can't counter everything, loads, but the main things, and which include most of these are against Jews as well. And that book will be a very informative, because I'm working on for last 2 years. I'm still collecting data and collecting information. So yes, so hopefully this year 1 book published, next year maybe 1 or 2 more books published will be. Hopefully.
Towards the end, we'll get you to let us know where we can get those books. But for David, maybe do you want to give an update about next week, and then we'll go to some audience questions.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. And very quickly, at the end of the event, if anyone is not yet actively supporting AJA, please go to the website, jewishassociation.org.au, where you can sign up to the email list, become a supporter, make a donation. Next week, we are looking at Israel aid. As you know, whenever there's a disaster around the world, whenever there's a problem, Israel is one of the first countries to be there, and we will have the CEO of Israel Aid, Yotam Politzer, as our guest next week.
Okay, so we've got a lot of questions, so please keep them very brief, and hopefully we can get through a few of them, and about all of them. Helen, would you like to unmute and ask the first question?
Helen, you haven't unmuted yet.
Forgotten how to. Okay. I'll try to be brief. I would like to know, Noor, if you have any idea if there is a political agenda behind the Muslim concentration on anti-Zionism. If I could just say two words. As far as I know, there is a edict in the Quran that any land ever occupied by Muslims can never be relinquished, must never be relinquished. But as far as I know, there was never a Muslim occupation of Palestine. It was a British mandate before, and we know the history of the division, but it isn't a historical place occupied by Muslims. And the second thing is, the Prophet was never, ever in Israel. He dreamt, it is in the Quran, that he dreamt that he ascended from the rock on the top of the Jewish holy place to heaven. He dreamt it, he was never physically there. So what is the political agenda for their...
Okay, Helen. Yeah, I think you got the question in.
Occupation, the word occupation, if you look at Helen, of your occupation, the words, what is occupation, what not, is came from, according to my knowledge, I'm not expert on that, but according to my knowledge, it came from the Second World War. Okay, before the Second World War, whoever possessed any country or in war, any country or any part of the country is theirs. Okay, after Second World War, it says if anybody occupy in a war any area of the other country, they have to give in them or nationalities, like Pakistan did, India did, so they're giving them all Indian or Pakistan nationalities, all passports there. So those who are not given to the passport, something like that, they're called occupation. Okay, I have a reservation on this as well. Okay, Muslim occupation, this is why in that case, Muslim occupation, of course, Muslims have done a lot of occupation in their timings all around the world. You can see there was all occupations. Okay, I'm not saying that rule was implemented that time because or not. I'm saying when the people use a word of occupation, they have to see that we Muslims are bigger occupiers, okay, than another other community. Okay, and this is why this obviously we use, but because we focus only on the Israeli occupation, or sometimes the Indian occupation. Indian occupation doesn't even count Indian occupation because it's their province, and we count is occupation. But Israel, we always think, oh, Israel occupied the Palestinian land. Okay, but land never be the name of the Palestinian or something like that. However, what happened in 1974-78 of the war? Okay, everyone, the people here, they know what exactly the facts are in there. Okay, so I don't call it occupation actually. Okay, yes, some are politically need to be politically correctness. Okay, that's a different issue. But I believe we Muslim have done occupation. We don't use the word occupation anymore because especially we Muslims, because our history is full of the occupation. Okay, and this is actually is a political. It has nothing to do with religion. Palestinianism is a political phenomenon, not religion. We dragged a religion in it because we knew it that the Arab nationalism is felt. We did a few wars against Israel. We could not achieve our goal, so we use a religion to repeat this Palestinianism and present to the world is a religious matter. Is definitely a political matter. Second thing you said, a Prophet Muhammad was a dream to enter in Temple Mount, Jerusalem, and he descended from there. We don't believe it's a dream. We believe it's a miracle. It was a physical miracle. Okay, he went to the Temple Mount. Okay, so we don't believe in a dream. Okay, we believe so we don't believe it's a dream. We said it was a journey from the Gabriel, took him from Medina to the Jerusalem. Okay, now the question is not he went or not there. Question is that why God brought him from there to the Temple Mount. If he brought in the Temple Mount, what there was Al-Aqsa Mosque? Were there any Cole Mosque by the Muslim? No. The God brought him there to see the roots of religion, roots of Abraham. See, this was the stone. This was a house of God. See the root of the religions. So you are the lost prophet. Okay, but you are the same chain of the same prophet came from the Jerusalem. So in my understanding, God brought him into specifically to Temple Mount. It was not Al-Aqsa, it was a Temple Mount. The stone was the stone of the house of the Temple of the Solomon. Okay, to show the prophet that this is the sign. This was the first sign, and this was a foundation stone. This is a foundation of Abraham religion. This is the foundation of a divine religions. So this was the old matter of the bring. God, he can bring him, descend him from Makkah, Medina to the sky. Why he brought him to there is not because it belonged to you. It didn't bring prophet or to show the Muslims in the rest of the life that the Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa is belong to you. Never, because of one hadith, Prophet said, if any person conquer Constantinople, which is a Turkey, he will enter into Jannah. There is no such hadith in Islam that Prophet said, if anyone conquered Jerusalem, he will go to paradise. No, because he knew Jerusalem does not belong to only us. Okay, it's way belong to us. It's spiritually, it's a religious way, differently, but we cannot own the land. We cannot own the Jerusalem, because Jerusalem owned by the Jewish people. This is Islamic. This is the Islamic concept. But people, Muslim or scholars, they would not tell you, because they have a different political agenda to present to the world.
Alan, you're next. Would you like to ask you?
Yeah, thanks, Robert, and thank you, Noor. Noor, to your great credit, you educated yourself about Jews and Israel. But I want to ask you, what happens, what do you do about people who don't want to be educated? And in that context, I'm thinking about the imams of the various mosques around the world. How can we get this message through to them?
Well, and thank you very much. It's a very good question. Okay. Let me tell you one thing. Anti-Semitism. I've seen faith groups working together for decades. In the US, in the America, different in the Western countries, Jewish rabbis and Muslim imams, they work together, they fast together, okay, they keep fasting together, they break fast together, and they pray together, they talk together, okay. Does it solve the anti-Semitic issue? No. Didn't solve. There are lots of organizations in the UK and America, even maybe in Australia, multi-faith groups. Did it solve the anti-Semitism against the Jewish community in those countries or your country? No, it didn't work. So where is the weakness? Where is the prime issue which the Jewish organization or Jewish people should not, or maybe they missed the opportunity? Because remember that what Muslims are using against Israel, what is the agenda? Anti-Jewish? Anti-Torah? No. Anti-Judaism? Not. What? Anti-Zionism. Isn't it? So, what is the issue? Issue is not Judaism. For them, issue is actually Zionism. counters Zionism, Judaism will be saved. Now, how many organizations are in the UK? I don't know about Australia, first time, or in the US, which are not a Jewish, which are not religious organizations, secular Zionist organizations. How many times they invited imams in their in events? How many times they went to mosque or imams to discuss? None. So the issue is still the same. Yeah, a rabbi goes with meet imams, no problem. They don't have any problem. This is why they tell the world, well, we don't have any problem with the Jews. We are our brothers, we cousins. We have no problem with Judaism. It's a divine religion. We have a problem with Zionism. So deal the problem then. Bring the Zionists forward. Arrange events. Bring the Muslims in front of the Zionists and ask questions. Talk with Zionists. They never even seen Zionists. They never even met Israelis. Never even, because they think Zionism is completely the devil worshipping, completely the monster and bloodiest ideology. Whoever possesses it become a monster, he will kill the people. Is against Islam, against Muslims. Then what is the issue? Issue is Zionism. Who are the issue? Issue of the Zionists for them. So bring Zionists forward. The Zionists, never any organization, they did work with the Muslim community in the UK. I'm very disappointed, honestly. They didn't work. They didn't even invite us to we can talk with our Muslims. No support, nothing else. I'm telling you honestly, straightforward, okay, in an open forum, okay, completely useless. So anti-Semitism never stop until you fill the missing point, which is Zionism. Zionists need to work on it, not rabbis.
Yeah, so that's definitely something we can work on. We hear a lot of similar criticism about some of the groups here. Hugh, you're next. Would you like to ask your question?
Hugh, you need to unmute.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hello, Noor. We met some years ago at the British Library in London. Amanda Thomas, who was working for me as a researcher, organised a meeting. I don't know whether you remember, but I think all of us here really appreciate the fact that you are taking the wonderful stand that you are. A few years ago, you were attacked and injured. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yes, I don't know who first of all, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a few years ago it happened, but I don't know who they were. And police investigator didn't find, as always, who they were and why they attacked me. And it's still, the story is not solved. Case is not solved. They closed the case, didn't find who was there. Could be anyone, honestly. Never happen again. I never wish I want to live. So I'm very careful. I'm very cautious around. Okay, but God protects me.
Hopefully, yeah, very good. Leon, would you like to ask your question? Unmute, ask your question. Mati Elisheva, are you able to ask your question?
Hi, yes, thank you for the time. I live in Israel, and I made Aliyah from Indonesia. I think a lot of people already know that it's the largest Muslim country in the world. So we have an organization with Muslim leaders, the Nahdlatul Ulama, a coalition of those leaders with Indonesian Jews. And what we're trying to do is to educate the masses, the Muslim masses in Indonesia, with the correct understanding about Judaism, about Jews, about Israel. There's one question that I would like to ask, which is, what would be, if you were in if you were in the organization that we are in, what would be the critical or most crucial message you would give to the leaders of the Muslim community in Indonesia?
So thank you very much. Really congratulations for your aliyah into Israel. It's great. It's great. And you should be proud of it. Okay. And you are, of course. One message I can tell is specifically on this conflict. I tell the people or the leaders of Islamic, separate your political agenda than this conflict. Don't enter politics in this conflict. The conflict have nothing to do with politics, okay? Because if you keep the politics out of this country, the country will be solved, okay? If you talk about religious, don't involve religion in this conflict. You know why? Because that's not a religious issue at all. That's not a religious issue. Yes, it is a political, but you involve the dirty politics into. The goal is only to destroy Israel. If your intention is to destroy, not to debate, then you will never be in the position where you can start talking and come to the solution. First thing, you have to be being a neutral person. First thing, you have to take your intention to harm the Israelis or Zionists or hate or any destructive ideology out of your mind. Accept the debate. When it's a debate, then debate always is a give and take. Debate always in a balance. Debate always have some outcomes, isn't it? So come to the debate rather than ideology of the destruction. And definitely there is a solution. There always be. So I don't believe there's any conflict or any matter in the world which have no solution. But we need to find out the way of approach to the solution, right people to talk, okay, and the main achieve goals which benefit both people. Not to eliminate one community, not to hate one community, not to completely destroy one community. There always be a solution between both sides. So always I can say, come in the name of peace, whether it's a political peace or religious peace. Okay, don't play the politics in it, because the land is a divine land. You don't need to understand, for God's sake.
Elisha, maybe that's something. Maybe you could reach out to AJ and we can discuss, opportunities to collaborate as well, and maybe with Noor. Definitely something we can work on. But I think that's all we have time for. See, there's a lot of questions. We couldn't reach everyone, but we had some very good questions and an outstanding speaker today, Noor. We want to really thank you. Very inspiring what you're doing. So how can people, we've had a couple of questions in the chat, how can people buy your books and follow you, keep up to date with what you're doing?
Yeah, they can, Amazon, my all books are on Amazon. They can buy the books from there. They reach me, Twitter, I'm always on the Twitter, Dahri Noor, number 2 in alphabet. I'm always there. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on Instagram as well. I have an email ID as well, Dahri, my surname, .Noor, my first name, @hotmail.com. There's so many ways that people reach me.
Well, I think, yeah, everyone will
send me a question, but I will respond when I'm free. I'm very, very busy.
Well, I also want to really thank Elaine for sponsoring tonight, Elaine Black. Thank you for that. So thanks again, Noor. Very inspirational. And
thank you, Robert. Thank you, Dr. David. I really appreciate it.
We're going to keep watching out for you.
One day we'll meet together, hopefully soon.
Hopefully, yeah. It's definitely something to look forward to. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
No problem.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care and God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.